All right, welcome back to 18 Strong. We've got another live interview today with Scott Harrington from the PGA Tour, and we will bring him in a second to catch up on what he's been doing, how things are in Arizona, getting a little extra time off since the PGA Tour obviously is not playing. But just want to say thanks to our sponsors for this week's episode. As always, we've got our friends over at Linksole. You can see I'm wearing my my Linksole Anza Dry Tech Polo, and they are making some of the best apparel out on the tour. We're starting to see a lot more guys on the PGA Tour wearing the Linksole brand. So go over to Linksole at 18strong.com/Linksole to get your 20% off code, or just go to linksole.com to check out all of their gear there. I would like to now welcome in our special guest, Scott Harrington. Scott, welcome back to the 18 Strong podcast, man. Thanks for joining us live.
Morning, Jeff. Yeah, thanks for having me. Happy to do it.
Awesome. I know you and I were just kind of catching up a little bit, but give us an idea what you've been doing, how you've been passing the time there in Arizona since we're all kind of on lockdown.
Well, I think it, obviously, I think everybody's kind of having, trouble filling their days or doing productive things. And I think everybody kind of dealt with this. I felt like it took me, so it's been approximately 3 weeks now of this, maybe a little more. And I felt like it kind of took me a good week and a half to kind of find some sort of routine, a routine that I was kind of okay with and happy with. But yeah, we've had a bunch of really nice weather out here. So I've been able to, the golf courses are open for the most part. And my club where I play at, there's a ton of provisions in place. The rain spots in the range are spread apart about 30 feet, 40 feet. And, all the everything that needs to be done has been done. And so that's been a real safe place for me. And, but I've been working out like crazy at home and running a lot and, cooking every meal at home. And so I feel like, but I've also now those are all the productive things. I did buy a PS4 about a month ago, and which I haven't had a video game console since college. And so I do make sure I get a couple hours a day in playing NBA 2K. But so that has been fun. But it's kind of a lot of a lot of exercise, a little bit of golf, a lot of time with my wife, probably a little too much TV, but heck, what else are you going to do right now?
You got time for it, right?
Trying to find, watch a little bit of news, but try to find some, more interesting things to watch. But, I feel like I'm doing an okay job of, staying active, staying busy, and staying healthy.
Are you a guy that likes to keep a pretty strict schedule? So, do you have your day pretty much laid out, or do you just kind of have certain things that you kind of want to get done and you just kind of let it flow?
Yeah, I'd say probably the latter. Let's be honest. I don't have like typically, there's a couple things during the day I kind of want to get done, but there's probably more hours in the day than I need to pass that time. And, but no, I wouldn't say when I'm home, typically in normal times, like during the season, the things that are most important to me when I'm home, there's always things I need to take care of, but I'm trying to get rested up. And I'm rarely set, on typical like off weeks, I'm really never setting alarms. I'm trying to get a lot of rest, a lot of sleep. Take care of the things I need to take care of. But I'm not exactly a morning person. I'm not sleeping until 10 at all, but I do like to get my 8-9 hours of sleep. And, I kind of like to just wake up when necessary and then go get it.
What's your setup look like for workouts? You have a kind of a home gym there. You have some different equipment.
Doing the best we can. So I've had a TRX band in my house for about probably, a number of years. Hasn't gotten used much, but now I've got, so I can prop that up into any door. And we've got really, I do so much like body weight kind of stuff that you don't, all I really need is space. So, we have yoga mats, and so I use a lot of, use kind of our back patio, set up the TRX. We do have some, kind of lighter dumbbells that work great in terms of, you can get really worn out. And, I've kind of done a variety of workouts, a lot of TRX stuff, you can find there's so much good content online right now that, people are doing some really cool stuff, putting their workouts online. I've experimented with some of that stuff. My wife has always done at-home workouts. She does all these classes, Pilates, yoga, strength stuff, from people online. And so I've actually kind of like taken part in a couple of hers, kind of some yoga stuff. And so I'm kind of mixing it up, but it's been good. And it's felt really good. I haven't really done a whole lot of workout stuff the last 18 months, I'd say. I actually kind of had a really good run with my body where things felt great. And I just kind of was focusing on just stretching and just staying mobile, and keeping flexible every day. But in terms of like actually kind of strengthening and stuff, I haven't really done this in a while. So it's felt really good.
Now you're, excuse me, you're out in Arizona, right? Are you in Scottsdale?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Do you guys still have the ability to go take like hikes and do that kind of stuff? Is that something that you try to bring into your routine?
Yeah, the trails are open. I haven't done that because I haven't been up there. Like there's one that's close to where I live, and but it's typically, especially this time of year, it's typically pretty crowded. And I mean, you can spread out on the trail, but I mean, I don't know. Like I've been really keeping my distance from anybody. I mean, but I have been going on. I do enjoy running, and so I've been running about 4 or 5 days a week, in addition to some of the stuff I'm doing at home. But it's perfect. It's kind of like that perfect outside running weather right now. So it won't stay that way. Once we get into May, that's going to be a little bit tougher. But yeah, I think that's one thing that is kind of cool seeing, with everything going on right now is, there's so many people out on walks and runs, and you just see it like everybody, all the kids playing outside, and that it's been kind of, it's kind of cool to see. Obviously, we're not happy to be in this situation, but it's kind of cool to see so many people using outdoors and getting their exercise and their fresh air. And but yeah, it's something I like to do as well.
When you go out to the course, what does it look like these days as far as practice? Are you mixing it up on the range, going out and playing a lot? Are you playing a lot by yourself, or do you still kind of go out with some guys and just kind of spread out?
So my days out there, I've kind of been going out there, 1:30, 2 o'clock in the afternoon. And, I always put in a little bit of what I would say more practice, at the outset. There were a couple things, coming out of the break, like I hadn't been playing very well at all, for the previous kind of month or two. And so I was kind of like working on some things right out of the, right when we got suspended, because we didn't really know how long this was going to be. Initially, we kind of only thought it was going to be a few weeks. And so I was trying to kind of get some things figured out, which I did. And now the last like couple of weeks, I've been going up there, and I've really just been going on the course and playing. And I'm only playing by myself. I'm not playing with anybody. There are games to play in, but I've made that choice just to go solo. And but yeah, I've mostly just been going out there, hitting balls for 30 minutes, and then going out in the course and playing 18 holes and 2 hours, 2 hours and 20 minutes, and it's been good. But it's not ideal, but it'd be really nice to know, like, it's kind of hard. It's interesting. It's kind of hard to go about it, when we don't have any. We kind of have an idea maybe when we'll optimistically start, but when you don't have that, you don't have that date or something like in mind, that nothing's been set in stone. And so it's kind of hard when you go out there to be motivated. And I don't, I'm not, and I think right now you don't really, that doesn't have to be an intention to, like, it's more kind of getting out and getting outdoors and doing something you enjoy. But also, when it comes to practicing, you want to have something to work towards, and just that something out in the distance that you're in, with so much up in the air right now, that's a little hard to do, but mainly just getting out there because I enjoy it.
Yeah, it's weird because everything just kind of seems like it keeps getting pushed back and keeps getting pushed back and keeps getting pushed back. Talking to Adam Long last week, we were just discussing the whole concept that you guys right now have. It's kind of unprecedented for you. You're used to playing so often. You're used to playing in front of crowds all the time. You're used to playing in groups. It's got to be kind of refreshing to just go out by yourself, kind of clear the mind, play by yourself? Have you been walking? Have you been riding still? What does it look like out there?
I've been riding. I walked a couple times, that more at the beginning, but and I enjoy walking. However, like I can play so fast when I'm in a cart
Yeah.
that it's like I can play 18 holes in 2 hours, and and that's kind of like the perk of riding. I'm in the when I'm walking, I'm in the desert here. It's kind of like rattlesnake season now.
Yeah, right.
I saw a rattler yesterday. And there are a lot of times where you have to like just kind of walk, through the desert to get to the fairway. I'm like, I don't know. I'm pretty happy in my golf cart, but it has been cool. There are a ton of people out who are walking and carrying their clubs, and that's something that these 60-year-old men out there at the club, and they're just throwing them on their shoulder and just heading out. And I think it's kind of cool to see. You just don't see that much anymore, at least in this part of the country. It's either carts or people with caddies, and it's kind of cool to see people doing that. But no, I've been happy in that cart, and I've been, but we're pretty paranoid. I mean, I carry wipes. I fully sanitize the cart before I step in it, and but yeah, we got to be a little extra careful. Jen's immunocompromised, so we've been extremely cautious with everything, and so but it's all good.
How's her health doing?
She's doing really well. I mean, her own health is good. She's definitely, this has had her on pretty high alert.
Sure.
She's definitely very worried about it, and we're not really supposed to peak here. I mean, they're kind of saying our apex down here in Arizona isn't going to be till possibly May, which I mean, I don't know. I don't know. We'll see. They're a lot smarter than I am, but we'll see. So we we could have a little ways to go here, and but no, I mean she feels good and everything, and just I can't wait to kind of get through this so we can, because her whole thing is like she was pretty much quarantined for 2 years,
Right.
and she had to live under a lot of restrictions, and especially when she was going through treatment. And granted, that was a little different because she was so sick from all the chemo and all that, and a lot of it was recovery. And but now, she had just this past year gotten back to her regular life and seeing friends and being active and feeling good. And now to kind of have that taken away has been a little tough, and sometimes it's been hard for her, but and especially because she's not going anywhere. She is staying at home, being real active. She's still working, but she hasn't seen anybody, done anything. I mean, I get to go to the golf course. She's been really restricting herself. So, but hopefully she's got to keep her head down, and we'll come out of it.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's like you said before, it would just be nice to have like an end date in mind to know what's going on, when we can kind of expect normal. I know here in St. Louis, we have just heard that maybe like the peak is going to be sometime in June. So, but again, you never know. We have some breaking news coming in from Adam Long on the live broadcast here.
Oh boy,
he must have gotten that same alert that you got right before we got on the air. We have news of no British Open this year. The PGA is scheduled for August 3rd through 9th at Harding Park. The U.S. Open scheduled for September 14th through the 20th at Winged Foot in New York, and the Masters November 9th through 15th. I just hope Adam Long is feeding us correct news here, not messing with our heads.
Can't trust him.
I can't trust him, right?
Can't trust him for anything. Nope. I mean, the guy can barely read. I don't know what he's. I don't know if Emily's dictating that to him or what. But no.
No idea how they let him into Duke. That's for sure.
No. Yeah. Exactly.
Thanks for the update, Adam. Appreciate it, brother. So, Scott, take me back to the start of this season, because I know you had some really good weeks in there, came out hot in Houston. Take me back to that weekend, because I remember watching it and kind of seeing the end of it. How did it all play out at the end? I can't remember the specifics and meant to look it up right before I got here on the podcast.
No, all good. Well, Houston was obviously a fun week. I'd gotten off to a pretty good start in the fall, like you had said. I mean, I had couple top 25s right out of the gates, and came to Houston. Of course, that set up. My caddy was kind of from pretty close to there, and he told me, of course, really set up well for me. Like before the week, and he was like, "This is going to be a good one for you." And I started the week. I played really solidly the first couple of days, and was in contention, top 10, and pretty much went into Sunday. I don't remember what place I was in, but I was in the top 10 or 12 somewhere, maybe like 4 shots back, something like that. And I played great. I got myself in there, and I want to say with about, I wasn't really looking at leaderboards at all that day. I mean, I could kind of sense, I always felt like I was playing really well, but I just kind of had that sense I was always like 1 or 2 back all day. And, so it kind of forced me to keep trying to make birdies. But I think to come into the last few holes, I was tied the lead maybe after 16. I birdied 15 to 16, get tied the lead, and then 3-putted 17, made bogey, unfortunately, and then 18. I was also playing about an hour in front of the leaders, so there's some really tough finishing holes out there. So I kind of, I was 1 back playing 18, but I played a group perfect. 18th hole was brutal. I think it was the hardest one on tour last year. I kind of dogleg left around a lake, and I just played a perfect 72nd, just hit a perfect drive, a perfect 9-iron that landed about 6 inches from the hole, and unfortunately it bounced about 15 feet away. And and I lipped out the putt. I played a perfect 72nd hole. Lando Griffin ended up making he ended up making a 6 or 8 footer for the win. And I was on the range ready for a playoff, but no, it was a great week. There were a lot of great things that came out of it. I was just really happy with how I handled everything, coming down the stretch, trying to get my first PGA Tour win, really my first time in contention, and to play as kind of solidly as I did. And just, the only thing on my mind late on that Sunday was winning. There was no thoughts about, there was no being scared, no playing scared. Just, it was pedal to the metal. I was doing everything I could to put pressure on the lead, and I was coming through. I was, for first time in that situation on the main tour, I was really happy with how I handled everything, and it just gave me a lot of confidence moving forward. And obviously, that finish almost locked up my card right there for the following year, which, as you know, for first year guys is huge. I mean, to virtually have a card locked up after just your first fall, it made that break pretty nice going into the West Coast.
Yeah, coming into this season, obviously you got your tour card through the Korn Ferry Tour, and this is the first full season on PGA Tour. Mentally wise, I know last time we talked, you've been playing with these guys that are on tour. You said you have more friends on the PGA Tour probably than the Korn Ferry. And so what was it like coming out in those first several events, and what was the mentality coming in, and what's it been like since then? I know you even said that you had a little stretch recently where you weren't playing so well, but where's the mind out there?
Yeah, I think there's a couple things. I think ever since they instituted this wraparound schedule, it really favors, or it doesn't favor, but I mean, it's really nice for guys coming off the Korn Ferry, because most of us are going to be playing pretty well. I mean, maybe there's guys who played great early in the year and kind of backed their way into a card. But I mean, for the most part, guys are going to be playing really well. And just to be able to jump right into that fall helps things quite a bit. You don't have any time to sit there and think about, everything that's coming up. And also, I'd say sorry if my dogs are yapping at something.
Live TV.
But also, the first handful of events, like the events are like the Greenbrier and Sanderson Farms and Napa. These are sweet events, but I'd say it's kind of like a nice little intro to the tour. These aren't like they certainly don't feel like Korn Ferry events. They're a lot better than that. But just not a lot of the superstars are showing up. It's kind of it's a nice way to kind of ease your way into the tour schedule. Like I kind of, people kind of told me, once you kind of get to about San Diego, LA, Phoenix, you get to those in those events feel just the scale is a lot bigger, and you get into the Florida events and it's the same thing. And so, I felt like going out in the fall, playing a few of those kind of a little bit smaller markets. It didn't really feel any different to me. I felt like I felt great. And I finished the year really well. My last 2 months on the Korn Ferry was really good. I had a lot of confidence going in, and I felt like I could take advantage of that and really get off to a nice start. And I was fortunate to do that.
Well, we were talking to Adam last week about the waste management. What was it like to play on the par 3 there, going up and teeing off there? What was that experience like?
Yeah, so I played. I Monday qualified into that tournament once before, so it was probably about 6 years ago. So I've done it before, but it really is crazy. I hit a couple pretty good shots there this year, but man, like my plan, like when you walk through this tunnel and you get up to this tee box, and like I just do not look around. I mean, I like walk straight to the yardage plate. I step it off. Like I don't look up, kind of like at all. I mean, it's a pretty intimidating setting. And the thing is, I play that course. I do a lot. I practice over there like a decent amount. And that hole is a nothing easy par 3. I mean, like with the 11 and a half months of the year outside that tournament, I mean, that is a hole you should hit the green. It's a 9-iron, or a wedge. I mean, you should hit the green 95% of the time. You should probably make birdie 40% of the 40% of the time. But it's put that grandstands up and the 20,000 people, 30,000 people, and I mean, it changed. You see some really bad shots there, and PGA Tour players should not be missing greens by, or hitting shots fat, with a 9-iron. It just shows you that nobody's immune. That setting is intense. I kind of, I want to give myself a chance at birdie, but you just walk out of there with 3 and go to the next hole, and you're okay with it. But it's really fun, and I have so many people I know. One of the reasons I don't want to look around is like when I get there, there's so many people I know who are at that tournament, and they're, I can hear them. I can literally like hear their voices because they're like screaming at me, and I don't want to like look up and see. I don't know. It's a strange situation, but it's really fun. But there's no question. Like I feel like my heart starts beating a little bit more, kind of as I kind of am approaching the 15th green, because 15 is right there next to 16, and things. There's a lot going on 15 as well, because it's just like kind of it's just right next to 16. You can hear it, you can hear the buzz, you can hear the booing, and like you can, your heart just starts. I feel like walking over the 15th green over the bridge, start to feel it a little bit, and then you walk off 15. You kind of have a long walk through the tunnel, and you're like, man, this is. At that point, I'm just kind of like, I hope I have a really good number on 16. Hope this is like a nice, comfortable, full shot. But it's cool. I think 1 week a year, it's pretty special.
Is there anything else that you can compare that to that you've experienced playing golf? I mean, is there anything even close?
Gosh, I don't know. I don't think so. It's so loud. The thing that I've tried to explain to people is just, and this kind of just goes and is a broad statement about that tournament, at least on holes 16 through 18, and then a few other spots. But it is just so loud in general on that course. And I'm not talking about the cheering when you hit a good shot. I'm talking about just the hum, like when it's supposedly quiet, when you're going to hit. there's so much action going on that it's really loud. Like on 16, when I'm hitting my shot, I literally can't hear the ball hit the club face.
Wow.
I can't hear the sound that the which is strange, because just the the partying going on around me, it's so loud, and it's just a really loud hum, and it's just a different week. It's pretty crazy how loud. I mean, I don't know. It's 230,000 people out there on Saturday, and so you can imagine. But yeah, I can't really compare 16 to anything else that I've ever. Honda they kind of tried to do that out there on 17, and but that hole's just too damn hard to have it be a real crazy atmosphere. But they kind of attempted.
Do they still do the caddy races on 16?
Not officially. The tour kind of tried to end that completely across all tournaments and all tours. I don't know if it's a liability thing, but occasionally, because there will always be pretty much every group that, kind of the drunk guys in the stands will be yelling at the caddies,
Right.
come on, red, come on, just whatever the colors are on their bibs is what they refer to them as. And, occasionally that there might be, that's strictly up to the caddies in the group. Most of the ones I know have no interest in sprinting with a bag on their back, but occasionally some guys might do it to get a laugh. But yeah, not too many caddy races these days.
What of the events that you played in, and maybe we'll exclude the Houston because it was such a special event, but is there one that sticks out as one of your favorites that there was something special about it that was either really cool with the setup or just the facility or the whole environment of the thing?
Yeah, there's a couple. I would say the couple that stand out immediately are Pebble, and that was my first. It's kind of hard to believe. That was my first time to Pebble Beach,
Really?
to playing the golf course, and the weather this year was. I mean, granted, it was cold. There were some mornings where it was just freezing, but the weather was so good. It was dry and sunny, and kind of that. It never got super windy. It was just like those. It was just those perfect postcard days. When you're out there on number 7, the par 3, and it's just like you're just looking around. You're like, man, this is just amazing out here. And the other golf courses were sweet too, and I had a great pairing. And I didn't play great. I just missed the cut on Saturday, but that was like Pebble Beach at its absolute best. It was firm. You couldn't have asked for anything more. That was a really fun week. I would say San Diego Torrey kind of stands out because I feel like that's kind of like that was Tiger played. It was his first tournament of the new season, and Rory was there, and it was kind of the first event of the year that a lot of the big guns were at, and and also Torrey. I'd never been to Torrey Pines either, and I thought that was a lot of fun. I didn't play any good there, but I just loved the golf course, and all those West Coast spots are pretty darn good. And we also we're fortunate to kind of have a lot of good weather out there. But then lastly, the last tournament I played, I thought Bay Hill was a very special week. I thought Bay Hill was really cool, and just the overall vibe, everything just oozes Arnie. The way they treat everybody, and it was just a really cool week. I was fortunate to play. I actually played. My finish didn't really. I mean, I was in kind of in contention on real late on Saturday and got derailed by the 18th hole and kind of ended up falling back. But I mean, I played pretty well. It was just it was just a really, really cool week, an invitational, smaller field. Everything Sam, his grandson, did throughout the week. It's just cool to be a part of, and I look forward to playing that one for years to come.
I can't believe you hadn't been out to Pebble or Torrey. That's kind of crazy.
I know, as being a West Coast guy, like and how with how accessible those golf courses are. They're public, and yeah, it is kind of nuts that that was my first time playing them. But I don't know, Pebble. I think that's in my top. That's in my top 2 or 3 right there. It was just such an enjoyable experience.
So I know you've had a chance to play with tons of guys on the tour before playing on the PGA Tour, in a bunch of your regular games and things like that. Who have you
Mm-hmm.
had the most fun playing with in some of the competitive events? Like, who are some of the guys that are kind of entertaining to play with? Or I asked Adam, who's like the funniest guy that you play with on tour?
Gosh, huh? I would say, I haven't had any pairings that, you know, that were gonna make me real nervous, or I don't know, I just haven't gotten paired up with any like the really. But actually, the last round I just played on tour, I played with Patrick Reed and Sunday at Bay Hill, and I knew him, like we had played together a long time, like a pretty long time ago, and I know he's had a rough year, kind of PR wise, but I playing with Patrick was great. I mean, he could not have been a better guy to play with. Talkative, really respectful, really complimentary. I, you know, I know and it is tough. Like listening to, there were people who got kicked out that day from the gallery. Just hearing the calls, everything kind of being that he has to deal with on a daily basis can be tough. And look, I know, however you feel about his situation, like he kind of brought it on himself a bit, but in terms of a dude and the kind of guy he is to play with in a twosome, he was awesome, and enjoyed that. Other pairings, God, nothing's really coming to mind. Adam is my good buddy. I always hope that we just don't get paired together because he's miserable to play with, and fortunately, so far so good this year. We haven't gotten that pairing, but no, Adam and I play some practice rounds together, and it's always fun to get out with him. And yeah, it's just fun to every week's fun. But what was also kind of nice is starting the new. I think maybe after LA, they just starting the year, guys in the Corn Ferry kind of get slotted into the end of the tee time waves, and you just play with all the other Corn Ferry graduates. And but I'd done well enough early in the year. They kind of reshuffled those rankings after LA, and I actually got moved up. I kind of moved into a different category and started getting teeing off first off, and with guys who had kept their cards, and started getting to play with a bunch of new guys. And so it's kind of nice to get that switched up. And but yeah.
When you're going off for practice rounds, is that something that you just kind of pick who you want to play with, or do you guys have like certain times and they group you together? How does that work?
I'd say everybody's kind of different. For me, I typically don't set up a lot of I don't set up a lot of stuff in advance. At least I don't really like to play. I don't like to play foursomes. I don't like to play like at the busiest times, and that's kind of when you'll see people getting games and I don't want to be out there for 5.5 hours, and that's what you're looking at if or 5 hours if you tee off at 9 a.m. on a Tuesday. I like to kind of play in the afternoons, get one other dude and get out there and kind of even the late afternoons, and I typically kind of just wait because there aren't a lot of people who are kind of on my timeline, like teeing off at 2:30. So when I get out there, you kind of see. For me, I just kind of like see who's around, see who might be going to the tee, and kind of work it out that way. Occasionally, like Adam likes to play in the afternoon sometimes, and so I might, there's a few guys I know who kind of like to do afternoons, so I might just text them kind of the day before. But I'm not huge on, I don't like to just get a foursome and tee it off at the busiest time, and I just kind of like to be able to go at a time to keep things moving. But yeah, so I don't know. Things might change over I might change how I think about it over time. Maybe have the opportunity to get in some games with some real big, if I get the opportunity to play with some real big names in practice runs, I'll probably try to do that. But yeah, that's kind of the way I go about it.
Cool. Scott, we've got a couple of questions from the audience here that I'll bring forward on the screen. We got Bradford who asks, hearing of a mid-June startup with no fans, how do you feel about what's going on and let's see, and how the tour guys will feel playing under these circumstances? So what would it be like for you guys to be playing without any fans around? Do you see that happening, and would that be kind of strange?
Well, it would be really unfortunate. However, I played in front of no fans for pretty much my entire career. So, growing up, like playing mini tours, and it's something I'm very, very accustomed to. So for me, yes, it'd be strange to be at a PGA Tour event and be playing in front of nobody. But legitimately, like kind of like a large chunk of my career, I played. When you're out there playing mini tour events or even some Corn Ferry events, like the spectators are few and far between. So while it would be different, I think it's, without having read the updated schedule and conditions, I'm sure that that's going to be necessary for pretty much every tournament the rest of at least through the summer. But I'm in favor of whatever gets us out there the fastest and gets us the safest thing for all the players, because I know we might be one of the first starters in professional sports, and I know I'm confident the tour will be taking every last precaution to make sure that it's a safe situation for all of us. But there's no question, it'll be a little different. It'll be a little harder. You have to kind of, in terms of finding your adrenaline, or just kind of creating that excitement. You'll kind of we'll need to. The crowd won't be able to do that for us. But the thing is, I don't think it'll be that. It's not basketball. It's not football. You don't just rely on the crowd to kind of get your blood going. I think the players will deal with it just fine. I just think, it does. It just takes away a little bit from the vibe. It'll be interesting, but I certainly don't expect it to affect guys' play at all or anything like that. But it will be a little interesting, a little different on the weekend. Playing that final group might make it easier to, maybe peel off a win. I mean, if you're not used to being in that situation, you don't have to deal with the thousands and thousands of people out there. You never know. We'll see what happens. But I'm just looking forward to getting back out there with. Whether there's fans or no fans, but at least I think it'd be great for, I think just if we can get some live sports on TV, I think that would be awesome. And I don't think people would mind not being at the event, just being able to watch something would be great. Yeah.
I mean, I think that we're all just begging for live sports to come back on, no matter what it is. If it was competitive ping pong, I think, whoever shows up first is going to have so many eyeballs watching, and I think it'd be great for golf if you guys can be the ones to come out. And I think it's probably pretty, one of the easiest sports to be able to do that, since you can distance yourselves. It's not like, guys are fighting for a basketball, things like that. And hopefully with some of this new testing that's coming out, guys will be able to test and see, who's positive, who's not, and be able to play.
Absolutely. I think that's. I'm with you. I wouldn't be surprised if like it's kind of a tough deal where every player gets tested before, and I mean maybe even on a weekly basis for the time being. But I do think I don't worry for the players from my perspective. I don't worry about anything much being at a tournament once I get to a tournament. More just we have to travel. And and granted, traveling right now is probably actually pretty safe because there's about 4 people in every flight, but it's not going to be like that for forever. We spend, there are a select few that, the guys do fly private and all that, but for the majority of us, we're flying commercial, and, I know they'll do everything possible at the tournament to make it a safe environment, but it's just, the travel side is a little bit worrisome, and having to eat from restaurants and having to stay at hotels and all that. But, I'm pretty confident that the tour is going to get this all figured out and keep us all safe.
I've got a little more of a technical question from Scott here. He says, I'm wondering if the PGA Tour, as the PGA Tour players move around the country to compete under different playing conditions, do they change wedges to utilize different amounts of bounce depending on whether they're playing on firm ground or soft, or just keep the same wedges and bounce no matter what?
I would say most guys don't switch based off the turf conditions, but I would say some do. There's probably some circumstances, like I feel like I have a wedge set up where I can play off of, like I feel fine playing off of grainy Bermuda. I feel fine playing off of ryegrass out here in Arizona or Poana or. But I think some guys might make some adjustments if it's going to be kind of extreme, like when guys go to the British Open and it is just like rock hard over there. And, that's when they might decide, hey, I need, more or less bounce or something like that. But I don't think guys mess with their wedges too much. It's easy. We do have that access. We can get the new stuff whenever we want. But at least I know for me, I am not a guy who likes to switch things very often at all. It takes a while to get new stuff into my bag, and I don't like to have I'd rather kind of know, even if my 60 degree isn't perfect for those kind of surfaces, at least I know exactly what I'm comfortable with it. I'm confident with it. I don't want to be worried about how it's, worried about those external factors. But there are times, exceptions when, maybe, you need to get a different 60-degree wedge or, I would say it happens some, and I think it's player by player thing. I think every guy's comfort level with changing things that frequently is different. And but I think in general you should be able to find wedges that should work off of every surface, whether it's Bermuda or Poana or ryegrass or whatever.
Eric Rensing asks, have you played with Steph Curry, and if so, do you still communicate with him?
I haven't played with him. I've kind of told, I think it's a little tough because typically the time when he plays a lot of golf, we're out, we're in season, like our off season, I'm just in Arizona. He knows I'm in Arizona. He knows I'm at Whisper Rock, and, I've told him, if he ever comes out, I'd love to tee it with him. But no, we haven't played. I'd say in terms of staying in touch, I wouldn't say we stay in touch. However, I will just, I'd say whether it's like messaging on Instagram or Twitter or whatever, we do have a little bit of, just a blurb here and there, commenting on each other, and, getting to meet him in person at Napa this year or last fall was very cool and special for me to be able to kind of thank him in person for what kind of he did for us. I'm confident that one of these days our schedules will cross and we'll get to go out there and play together, and just the interactions I've had with him. He's just such a likable guy and such a genuine guy. Yeah, that I'd really love to get out there and tee it up with him and hopefully take a little cash from him.
What do you think that did for the Korn Ferry Tour, or it might have been web.com, or it was both possibly, for him to come out, give some of that exposure? I know that there was kind of some back and forth on whether that was a good thing or a bad thing. I think people thought that he was maybe taking a spot from one of you guys, which I don't believe was the case.
Yeah, so it's become, so he was kind of the first to do it on the Korn Ferry, and since then there have been a couple other celebrities who kind of players who aren't at the level of your typical Korn Ferry player who they come out and play, they get a spot and they play, but I have zero problem with it. For starters, it's not taking a spot away from anybody on the tour, because the tour's events are given a certain number of exemptions. If it wasn't given to him, it'd probably go to somebody else who's local. He's certainly a pro, but he's not taking a spot away from a Korn Ferry player. And also, these Korn Ferry events, they, every market is different that they're in, but they're fairly small markets for the most part. And, if they can, the exposure that gets for them locally, I mean, like, people, hundreds, thousands of people come out to that tournament to watch Steph's group. And like, they're putting that on, his shots were, that we were getting covered on SportsCenter. And that's just for these tournament directors and these sponsors. I mean, that's priceless right there. And to get that much interest, in your event when, hey, okay, they could give that spot to a deserving player who might have some local ties, who's trying to come up. But thing is, and that's great. And they have other sponsor exemptions that they can do that with. But if you're giving one to somebody like Steph or Jake Owen, who played in Nashville one year, that's really, it's great for these tournaments. And it gives them exposure and certainly brings people out. And I don't fault them at all for it. And, would I like to see it happen every single week out there? Probably not. But when you get a guy with Steph's name or Jake Owen's name and how big they are in the world of sports, I mean, that's a great thing for these tournaments. And, so I'm kind of all for it. I've been on the other end of things when I've been a guy trying to get sponsor exemptions and feel like I'm deserving. And, and sometimes it's, being on that end of it's kind of tough sometimes, but, I don't fault these tournament directors at all. They need to do what they can to bring the most eyeballs to their event, and then it helps in for the sponsors and all that. It's great.
All right, we've got two more questions here. I've got one more from Bradford saying that he said you were struggling a little bit before the break. You said, what were you struggling with, and what did you do to help alleviate those struggles?
Well, I just I hit the ball really poorly from. It's kind of interesting. So I not to go too far back, but I had about a 7-week off season or whatever it was before going to Hawaii. And when I was going to Hawaii, I felt like I was playing really well, or I felt like I was ready to play well. And I don't know if you remember, but Hawaii, we had the weirdest week of weather they've ever had there. Like it didn't blow less than 30 miles an hour for 7 days. I mean, it just absolutely pumped wind for an entire week, and that can really mess you up, frankly. And I made the cut, and I played. I didn't play good, but I mean, I played okay. But I felt like by Sunday of that week, I felt like my swing was so jacked up. Like, you just start, you're playing in all that wind. You're trying to hit everything so low. You're trying to, if you have a straight left to right wind, you need to snap hook it, because we like to work the ball against the wind quite a bit. I do at least. And, I mean, I'm trying to work the ball so hard, hit this like a snap hook with a 7-iron to keep it straight. And, you just kind of manufacture shots. But when you do that for 7 straight days, all of a sudden, I got to Palm Springs, and I felt like my golf swing was, I felt like we were like literally starting over. My coach came out to Palm Springs, and I'm sitting there, I'm leaning on my left side. I'm ball positions back. I'm trying to trap every, just things that I'd worked on for the 7 weeks before that were just completely thrown out the window. And I felt like it took me, I never got back to hitting it good, really until kind of right before the break. It was kind of a grind. I kind of pride myself on being a really strong ball striker, and I was just hitting it like garbage. And it was a real, like, every week I felt like I was just kind of spending so much time Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday trying to get it back to where it was. And it was a little frustrating because I just, I had some rounds where it would feel really good and I'd hit it really well. But for the most part, I was just really struggling. And on golf courses that were really typically should set up great for me, these long, the Torrey Pines and the Waste Management places that, are really difficult off the tee, and you hit tons of drivers, and then you have they're tight and with a lot of rough, and they kind of ate me up because I just wasn't hitting it any good at all. And so it was frustrating. It's tough to go out to the Torrey Pines when it's the holes, 400, a bunch of 480-yard par fours, and fairway's 22 yards wide, and you have to hit driver, and the rough is 5 inches long, and I was hitting about 4 fairways around. Like it's gonna be a tough go, but everybody goes through it. Everybody, when you're playing good, you think that this is easy and you're going to play good forever, but then it can turn as quickly as just as quickly. And what's important as a golfer, like there's times when you're struggling, and it feels like you are so far away from playing good golf, and things just are so difficult, and it's amazing. You are never as far off as you think, and it can just be because we all at heart we know how to play well, and even if you've been struggling for 6 months or 1 month or a year, like when you get it back, it comes back quickly, and so you just have to stay patient and keep trying to keep doing everything that you need to do to get it back. Because once you get it back, you can play great golf. And I kind of finally, just right at the end, I started to play a little better. But no, it was tough. It was tough circumstance because it was a tough stretch of golf courses, and I really wasn't. There were places that you just could not fake it around. Going to like a PGA National or something like that, where there's just disaster everywhere. And, but that's the way it goes. Right now, I feel like I'm playing great. Granted, there's nothing for me to play in, but I'm back to hitting it good again. But yeah, it's just, it can leave you just as quickly, and it can come back just as quickly. You never know when it's going to happen, but for me, I just had to get that ball striking in order, and took me a while, but I feel like I'm pretty prepared now whenever we do come back.
All right, we got one last question here by your boy Adam Long.
Oh boy.
Yeah. Being so close to the age of the Champions Tour, will your length be a significant advantage at the next level?
Gosh, he just does not. He every opportunity he gets to poke me about my age. I mean, I'm coming up on. I'll be having my 40th birthday here this next fall. It's hard to say, but he likes to give me crap about that. But that Champions Tour. I got a lot of good years left on this PGA Tour. But no, there's no question. Hey, I'm fortunate enough to play that Champions Tour. I hope my length can sustain, and I'm still I swing it faster now than I did 5 years ago or 10 years ago, and I hope that physically things hold up, and that I can keep getting out there pretty good. But I appreciate the question, Adam. I'm glad you have nothing better to do than listen to my interviews. But no, Adam's my boy. He's getting ready to have his first child here coming up. Look excited for him. And but yep, what's up, Adam?
Yeah, he's in for some changes. That's for sure.
That's for sure. He was they were our house guests for the week at Waste Management. I gave him a little bit of heat because I'd offered my place for Waste Management week, and he and his wife Emily came out and stayed with me. But I had asked him before. I was like, well, hey, can I stay at your place for Honda, because he lives about 5-10 minutes away from the golf course, and I couldn't stay. He said no. My caddy and his family are staying with me that week. I'm like, geez, this is the way it's supposed to work. Exactly. I threw him a bone. I live about 3 minutes from TPC Scottsdale, and no traffic, nothing like that. I just cruise right in the course, and but it's just pretty one way relationship, if you ask me. But I made sure to make him feel really bad that I couldn't stay with him at Honda, and that I was pretty upset about it. But it's all right.
And here he repays you with calling you old on the podcast.
Oh, gosh.
Not cool, Adam.
Hey,
Not
Yep.
cool.
Hey, I'm older than he. You could build a target between my drive and his drive. Granted, he's been drumming me most of this year, but for 39, I get it out there pretty good, and I hope that I can keep doing that.
Love it, man. Scott, really, really appreciate you coming on today. It's fun catching up and seeing how you guys are doing out there. We're very excited to get you guys back on TV, watching you guys play like we talked about. So keep up the great work, and we look forward to seeing you teeing it up again soon, man.
Yep, I hope it's sooner rather than later. Everybody stay safe out there. Thanks for having me on, Jeff. Great to catch up anytime. Happy to do it.
Sounds good. All right, everybody, just want to say thanks for joining us this time on the 18 Strong Live podcast. We've got a couple more coming at you this week, which we'll update on our social media and on our email list. I want to say thanks to our friends over at Linksole for sponsoring the show. Go to 18strong.com/Linksole to get your 20% off discount. And we will be putting these live podcasts up on our regular podcast page on iTunes and everywhere else. So those will be coming soon in the next couple of weeks, but you're getting the first look at these here on Facebook Live and hopefully soon to be live on YouTube as well. We look forward to catching up with you in more live podcasts here in the very near future. Train hard, practice smart, and play better golf.